A rural road, Louisiana, May 23, 1934. Six lawmen wait in the tree line, weapons raised. A Ford V8 rolls into view, and in under 15 seconds, 167 bullets tear through metal, glass, and two human beings. The shooting stops. The silence lasts 30 seconds. And then the real madness starts. Within minutes, civilians are ripping hair from the corpses. A man enters the funeral home with a razor. The death car gets stolen, twice. And the last legal case tied to that morning? It closed in 2019. So here's what most people think they know. The crime spree, the romance, the dramatic ending. But the ambush is the easy part. What came after is a 90-year spiral of exploitation and a country that simply could not let go. 1. 167 shots. The Bienville Parish Coroner's report reads like a war zone inventory. 6 lawmen fired approximately 167 rounds in 15 seconds on May 23, 1934. 50 wounds on Clyde Barrow's body, 23 on Bonnie Parker's. The Ford V8 took over 112 hits. Frank Hamer, who planned the operation, wrote that the scene was completely unacceptable to describe to the public. That report stayed classified for 20 years. 2. Trapped in the car. Bonnie and Clyde died before they even understood what was happening. But the aftermath dragged on for over an hour. Officers held their positions, guns raised, while the Ford's engine kept running. When they finally approached, the bullets had warped the car doors completely shut. 2 men with tools pried them open. When they pulled Clyde from behind the wheel, his foot was still on the accelerator. 3. The crowd arrived before the police. The sound of 167 gunshots carries far in rural Louisiana. Within 30 minutes, more than 200 civilians surrounded the bullet-riddled Ford before any backup arrived. No police tape, no perimeter. People moved in, touching the bodies, pulling souvenirs from the wreck. One man tried to cut off Clyde's ear. Hamer stopped him personally. Another cut a lock of Bonnie's hair. When backup arrived 2 hours later, the crime scene was gone. 4. The souvenir market opened the same day. Less than 24 hours after the ambush, locals were running a roadside black market. Shell casings, glass shards, clothing scraps, $1 to $5 each, cash only. A shopkeeper took out a newspaper ad. Authentic relics from the Bonnie and Clyde shootout. Police estimated the circulating souvenirs outnumbered everything that could have physically existed at the scene by 10 to 1. People manufactured fakes. Buyers did not even care. 5. The bodies went on public display. After the ambush, the bodies were taken to Conger Funeral Home in Arcadia. Owner Charles Bailey opened the doors to the public. Over 2,000 people arrived that same day in a rural parish where almost nothing ever happened. Police formed barriers to manage the line stretching around the block. Parents brought small children to see the bullet-riddled corpses, treating it like a history lesson. Nobody there thought that was strange. 6. The crowd tried to mutilate the bodies. What happened inside Conger Funeral Home went past curiosity. Police documented attempts to rip hair, tear clothing, and remove fingers from the corpses. One man was arrested with a razor, trying to cut off Bonnie's finger for her ring. He told officers with zero shame he just wanted a keepsake. Conger had to hire 2 guards to protect the bodies. He later told the Dallas Morning News he had never seen human beings act that way. 7. The death car became a paid attraction. Jesse Warren had had his Ford V8 stolen by Bonnie and Clyde. Police returned it, 112 bullet holes included. Warren didn't see a loss, he saw money. He signed a deal for $150 a week, and the car toured fairs across the South throughout the 1930s and 1940s. Families paid 25 cents to stick their fingers into the bullet holes. Today it's on permanent display in Primm, Nevada. 8. The car was stolen twice. Between 1934 and the 1960s, the Ford V8 passed through at least 14 owners. Twice, someone simply drove off with it. The first theft, in Oklahoma City in 1936, was resolved quickly. The second, in 1940, the car vanished for 6 months before turning up in a Mississippi barn. The car belonging to America's most famous thieves, stolen repeatedly by ordinary criminals. The post-ambush story of that Ford is almost as turbulent as the people who drove it. 9. The ambush guns were sold for fortunes. By law, the 13 firearms recovered from the death car belonged to the state of Texas. What actually happened was different. Frank Hamer and his 5 lawmen divided the weapons among themselves like trophies. Nobody challenged them. Decades later, those guns appeared at collectors' auctions. In 2012, a .45 caliber pistol attributed to Clyde Barrow sold for $240,000. Public servants, weapons as souvenirs, $250,000 inheritances. Nobody was ever prosecuted. 10. The families got almost nothing back. When relatives arrived in Arcadia, the scene was already stripped clean. Bonnie's guitar had been broken apart and handed out as souvenirs. $507 found in the vehicle was never officially accounted for. Emma Parker received her daughter's body and nothing else, clothes soaked in blood. The Parkers attempted legal action to recover their belongings and got nowhere. In 1934, dead outlaws had no rights. Neither did their grieving families. 11. A small-town paper sold 10,000 copies overnight. The Bienville Democrat served a county of about 12,000 residents. On May 24, 1934, it published a special edition and sold 10,000 copies in one day. Orders arrived from New York and Chicago. The print shop ran the same edition 3 times and couldn't keep up. Revenue from that single issue saved the paper from bankruptcy. The Great Depression was closing papers everywhere. This one survived because of 2 dead outlaws. 12. The mothers found out through the newspapers. No officer knocked on the door, no call, no official notification. Hamer contacted Dallas right after the ambush, but the sheriffs were busy giving press interviews. The Associated Press had already transmitted photographs nationwide. Afternoon editions hit the streets while Emma Parker and Cumi Barrow hadn't received a single official visit. A neighbor arrived at Emma's door holding a newspaper. That's how Emma found out. 13. Hamer was accused of murder. When the gunfire stopped, a different battle started in the press. Newspapers questioned Hamer and his team for never giving the couple a chance to surrender. The New York World Telegram called it an execution without a trial. Hamer responded, giving Clyde Barrow a surrender opportunity meant one more chance to kill a lawman. And Barrow had already killed at least 9. The debate ran a few weeks, then disappeared. A country in the Depression had other priorities. 14. The car was investigated for a curse. By the 1940s, the Ford V8 had a reputation beyond its bullet holes. People who touched it reported illness. Mechanics got hurt. In 1953, an Atlanta Constitution reporter investigated 14 incidents linked to the car since 1934. The verdict? All had ordinary explanations. Standard bad luck. But the reporter admitted the truth didn't matter because the curse story sold like nothing else. The casino displaying the car today still advertises it as cursed. 15. The spectacle divided the nation. When word spread of what happened to the bodies, the display, the attempted mutilations, thousands of onlookers, not everyone stayed quiet. The National Council of Catholic Women released a statement in July 1934, calling the treatment barbarism unworthy of a civilized nation. Conservative newspapers fired back. 2 criminals who terrorized the country forfeited any right to dignity. That argument was never settled. Nearly a century later, America is still having it. 16. The Barrow Gang's actual body count. Before the ambush, Bonnie and Clyde were not romantic rebels. The Barrow Gang is credited with 13 murders, including at least 9 law enforcement officers killed between 1932 and 1934. They robbed over a dozen banks and broke out of prison twice. J. Edgar Hoover's FBI placed them at the top of its priority list. By the time Hamer set the trap in Louisiana, the Barrow Gang had become a genuine national emergency. 17. The official report was sealed for 20 years. Hamer's account of May 23rd ended up classified. The US government reviewed it, deemed it unsuitable for public release, and locked it away for 2 full decades. When finally declassified in the mid-1950s, the contents confirmed what insiders already knew. The scale of force and the condition of the bodies were considered too disturbing for public consumption. The government wasn't hiding incompetence. It was hiding a spectacle it had created and couldn't justify. 18. The 1967 film rewrote history. When Arthur Penn's Bonnie and Clyde hit theaters in 1967, it didn't retell history, it replaced it. Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway turned 2 killers into glamorous tragic anti-heroes. 10 Academy Award nominations. Over $50 million at the box office. The real couple murdered officers and robbed small-town banks. The film versions were rebels fighting a corrupt system. Hollywood laundered the story, and that myth became more real to most Americans than the historical record. 19. Emma Parker fought to keep them separated in death. Even after the ambush, Bonnie's mother had one final battle. Clyde's family pushed for a joint burial. Emma Parker refused. She blamed Clyde for destroying her daughter's life and was not about to let them share a grave. She won. Bonnie was reinterred at Crown Hill Memorial Park in Dallas. Clyde went to Western Heights Cemetery across town. 2 outlaws fused in American mythology, still kept apart by a mother who never forgave. 20. The death car found its permanent home in a Nevada casino. After passing through 14 owners across 3 decades, the Ford V8 came to rest at Whiskey Pete's Casino in Primm, Nevada. On display since the 1980s, behind glass between the slot machines and check-in desk. The original bullet damage is still there. Visitors queue daily to photograph it. The casino advertises it as cursed. Decades after the ambush, that Ford is still drawing crowds. 21. The last lawsuit closed in 2019. The ambush happened in 1934. The legal system didn't finish with it for 85 years. In 2019, a federal court in Texas closed the final civil case tied to May 23rd, a dispute over ownership of the firearms from the death car. The guns had passed through auctions, collectors, and museums for decades, each transfer creating new contradictions. The court ruled the chain of custody was too tangled. 2 Depression-era criminals, still in court during the smartphone era. 22. America never actually let them go. Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow killed at least 13 people and terrorized the heartland for 2 years. They died in a military-style ambush and their bodies were treated like carnival exhibits. The fascination never faded. Their collector market runs into the millions. The 1967 film is still taught in film schools. The casino in Primm draws tourists for the bullet holes. The last lawsuit closed in 2019. And right now, someone is paying real money for a piece of metal from that road.